All right, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mynoo, and as we go along, we'll have more people joining us. There's a few people who are going to come late this evening. So I think pretty much everyone on at this moment knows Mynoo, has either worked with her, been friends with her, knows of her, read her book, best-selling author, perhaps been to one of her meditations, 7:30, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I would give my eye teeth to be there, but it's 4:30 a.m. my time, so I often have to miss that. But every once in a while, I find my way. So definitely anyone who wants to join those are a wonderful way to start your morning. So yes, Mynoo has worn so many hats in her prior life, and I just want to acknowledge that. Mynoo has been a movie producer, a business mogul. She's run Fortune 500 companies, and she's worked with 100 different businesses all over the globe. And she went on her own personal spiritual journey, which she thought was going to be just a moment, and it turned into a 9-year, which turned into a lifetime. Mynoo, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're still on that journey today. So magical things continue to unfold, and we are so grateful that she is here today to share her wisdom. The spiritual wisdom is so profound that you can just never quite get enough of Mynoo. So I'm so excited to be with you tonight, Mynoo, and for all of you to be with us. Welcome, Nikki. As people continue to join, we are going to go into, we're nearing the end of our What's Next series. I think we have a couple more. So tonight we're on the celebration 7 C's. So I'm going to turn this over to Mynoo to take us on the journey of what's next.
Yes, thank you. From my side, it's good morning because the sun's just starting to rise, and good evening, I know, to many of you who are in the US. It's with great excitement that I'm here entering the journey into the sea of celebration. So before we go a deep dive into the sea of celebration, just to reiterate a few things about the new norm, because the journey into the 7 C's is foundationed on the new norm as that is being anchored more and more and more. And each time I reveal another facet of the new norm. So what we have already seen is that unknown is the known, uncertainty is certain, change is constant. It's a death of survival, and thriving instinct is what's called for. Taking nothing for granted is a modus operandi that serves us in this new norm. The vibe of the new norm is the vibe of rejoicing. And that the vibe of rejoicing is accessible when we take on an action of celebration. So here's what is coming through to be revealed. There are certain words that we use that we feel are like doing words, but actually there's a difference. The vibes of certain words get crystallized, and they are crystallized when we make a decision about that. So for example, we've all been talking about happiness. We've heard that, the happiness index and all of that. Happiness actually is a decision that we make. Now, when we've made the decision of happiness, what's the action? So once you make a decision, you step into action. What's the action? The action is joy. Joy is the action we seek. Similarly, suffering is a decision we make, and pain is a justification that we start seeking. So become very aware of some of the decisions you have made. If you've made the decision to be happy, then you don't need to do happiness. Just seek out actions that give you joy. And that may just be even showing up on this call. Or that may be, like for me, I look at videos of my little grandson growing up. He's learning to chop vegetables. Well, it's not real vegetables, but it's play vegetables. But it's really interesting how that coordination is working out, and it gives me great joy. And there'll be lots of things. we have these swarms of locusts that have, Gaura reminded me, they actually started in Africa, and via Pakistan, they've come into India. And I have these big windows, and I just love to leave them open. And I overlook a forest. And the last several days, it's been like, no, don't open the windows, don't open the windows. That's just been my intuitive thing. And I saw this swarms of locusts just flying by, and just feel so grateful at being able to connect and listen to spirit. But that also for me gave me a lot of joy, just realizing that, wow, it's really good that I did follow my intuition. I don't know what would have happened. I don't know how I would have cleaned the house, even if some of these swarms might have come into the house. And it did happen with various other apartments in the building. But I mean, joy, there are many things that happen every day that give us joy. But all of those things come into our awareness when we have made the decision to be happy. Similarly, if you make the decision that life's a celebration, then rejoicing in the moment is an action that you would start taking. In any moment, however distressing a moment would be, there is always something there that you can tap into that is worth rejoicing. Peace. There's been such a craving and such a desire for peace. And again, peace as a given, it's a decision. Peace is just a given. The action you take to get there is gratitude. See yourself, when you are in that space of gratitude, you're in peace. Sometimes you have to work it to get into that space of gratitude. So these decisions are in fact a consequence of the actions that we choose to take. So when we start taking actions of joy, the consequence is happiness. Action to rejoice, it could be in different ways. It could be just by sending a beautiful note to someone. That's a rejoicing thing. Rejoicing is not just about experiences outside of us. It could also be a rejoicing of something that we feel about ourselves. The consequence is celebration vibe. Gratitude. The action of gratitude, the consequence is peace. I mean, it's whoever created language and attributed these words to different vibes, was completely divinely guided. Language, the creation of it was completely downloaded. So the celebration vibe, each one of us will know what that feels like. We've felt it many times. So celebration as an act, gets into a space of doing. And you go into a doing race around celebration, which can sometimes get exhausting. So you're doing, and it all seems to be outside of us. But when you get into a space of rejoicing is a very internal thing. And you can, if you are in a birthday party, if you are in a gathering, you can literally differentiate those that are out there acting out the act of celebration and those that are in the space of rejoicing. Quite different. So celebration is a vibe, which is a consequence of rejoicing. I love to break up words, So regarding joy, that I'm seeing is rejoicing. A couple of other words that are being asked to be shared and talked about in the context of celebration are words that we talk about, and a lot of these words are being used at the moment. Be careful. What is careful is being used instead of cautious. careful, be careful is full of care. And that's great. To actually have someone share with someone, would be great to be full of care, because that just shows you are full of care and you care. So, as I arm you with the keys to journey into the sea of celebration, my invitation to you would be, just really become aware of some of the decisions that you have made and the decisions that you wish to avert, and make a different choice. In the sea of celebration, there is only what there is. It's a sea with a very strong current that multiplies and amplifies very rapidly. So in this sea of celebration, it calls you to give yourself the present, the gift that you completely love and have been waiting for. And it is the present of your presence. And whilst you're journeying the sea of celebration, presencing your presence is called for. And it is a very big challenge, because so much of our presence is laced with all sorts of experiences that we might have had in our lives. Some good, some bad, some beautiful, some ugly. And somehow all of those things that have become anchored and lodged in our presence start to form our dialogues about our identity. So in the sea of celebration, given that it is a sea which calls for you to presence your presence, because it is all about what is. What is really the only reality. And in that realm of, when you are in that space of what is, presencing your own presence, many of your decisions are already a given, and actions unfold like the blossoming of a bud. And as the actions unfold, if you made the decision of happiness, actions that unfold means you become more aware of those things that give you joy, those actions that give you joy. If you've chosen peace, then what unfolds are those beautiful inner pristine petals of this blossom that bring you into even greater gratitude. The sea of celebration, because it is all about what is, it actually encompasses and embodies all of the seas that we have gone through. There's certainty. There is choice. There is collaboration. And there is co-creation. And there you are, presencing your presence. And the way you celebrate is by choosing the actions to rejoice. So, between now and when we get together next Thursday, as you journey through the sea of celebration, you can literally take on, 2 days of choosing happiness, making that decision, and allowing yourself to create your treasure trove, your own personal tuck box of actions that give you joy. Have another 2 days where you decide to go on a gratitude binge and notice how peace is the consequence of binging on gratitude. And you can bring it all together by choosing a B word. For the next 3 days, allow your journey into the C's that we have just gone through to come together for the next 3 days by choosing a B word every single day. And those of you who haven't read the B book, it's available on Amazon and on Kindle. Just go ahead and get it. The thing that I explain in that is, have a B list. You already know what you want to do. If you want to be comfortable, you can create your master to-do list, but actually have a B list and choose your B word each day. And when you choose a B word, also define what that means. So if I say, I choose, I'm going to be magical today. And I choose that, I'm going to be magical today. I define, what does that actually mean? Magical means, being present to the joy in each moment. That's the definition I have given to it. And remember, the entire journey into the 7 C's, is all about coming home to you and being able to operate that way in this 3rd dimensional reality. So you choose. Useful to know what the dictionary says about it, but you don't have to. You can define magic and magical in whatever way you wish. So if you choose to be joy today, what does that actually mean? So for me, I remember writing, joy means I have a spring in my step and my smile is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger as the day unfolds. So when I do like a little check-in on myself, Gaurav and a few others practice the B word thing, and what they do is they've got that little alarm which repeats itself every hour. So at least every hour they reconnect to the B word that they have chosen. So the moment I reconnect to be joy in the day, that smile goes up and it beams even bigger than before. So this whole journey into the 7 C's, it's like you walk into the C, there's movement that's needed because the C itself is moving. So for you to even be able to survive that journey into the C, you are called to move. And you're called to move in your rhythm, bringing it in sync with the rhythm of the C. And as you do that, and initially there might be some effort, but you actually get into a space of ease and joy and flow, and that there's a rhythmic movement that takes place. And literally it brings together all of the elements. If you just take the C's as an SEA. And the same thing applies to the journey into the 7 C's with the C. It is a journey into the sea of celebration that we have anchored and we have started today. Celebration is the vibe of this new norm. And yes, there are people, and there will always be some around us who will be in this space where, how can you talk about celebration when people are dying out there? Can you imagine those that are already impacted and affected and are going through difficult circumstances? If so many of us laden them and burden them with our vibe of pity and sadness and stuff, they have no chance to recover from their situation. Like, we're dumping them. How dare we dump on anyone? And we think it's good to feel sorry for them and not celebrate. Well, the more of us that get into this vibe of rejoicing, where celebration is the consequence, the celebration vibe is a consequence, the more it will uplift those that are finding themselves in a difficult situation. And the more it amplifies and activates the universe to multiply whatever it is that they are experiencing in that moment. And as they get into a slightly more uplifted space, the universe starts to multiply that. There are many, many, many new opportunities that have been opened up. This was the virus of the crown, and it has delivered. It has opened the crown of every human on this planet. And therefore, I'm doing these things, and I'm doing them often, just so that we are able to start connecting the dots. I'm doing them internationally. So it's really great that we have people from across the ocean here, because everybody that is in between the space that we are all in, it's like we've created the circle around us. The dots are being connected, and we are showering the environment and the living beings and the people in the space that we are, covering with the number of people that are on this call, with the vibes that we are actually bringing forth through these sessions. So let us, at least, each one of us, because as we have been going through this journey, into the 7 seas and the navigating the unknown, before that, there is a cleansing out and a clearing out that is taking place within each one of us. So our vibrational presence itself has expanded. And the holographic reach of what we are vibrating has also expanded. So when we feel sorry and we feel pity about something, it doesn't really serve anything. It exasperates the situation. I'm not saying ignore it. I'm not asking you to put blinkers on. In the vibe of celebration, which is the sea of celebration is about what is, it is, people are experiencing, there's a fact of the matter. People are experiencing hardship, yes. And there's hardship of just physical stuff, where there's, people might be hungry, or, there's pain. And there's emotional stuff where people feel, lonely and alone because they're distanced so much. Whatever it might be, notice that's so. Notice how you feel about it. And even allow yourself to feel it. By presencing how you feel and just really being real about it, saying what's so, and then you make a conscious choice of embracing all there is, unconditionally accepting it, and choosing the rejoicing action to result in the celebration vibe. That starts to uplift you and your circle, and the circle of their circles, and the circle of their circles, and all the space that goes in between. The vibration starts to uplift. So having said that, I would like to spend more of my time today in answering questions. So you have how you can practically start implementing it over the next 7 days before we meet again next Thursday. And I open myself up to receive questions. And Catherine, I know that we have some really great ones, and there are several unanswered ones from previous events as well. So let's see. And then the last 10 minutes, if you just make sure that I have the 10 minutes at least to do the final act of celebration.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mynoo. I've never been more excited about a homework assignment than this one. So thank you for allowing us to each take our time to really delve into really what brings us joy. Thank you for that. So we have 2 pages of questions.
That's what I just want to clarify. When you dive into happiness, just first of all, make the choice to reinforce, because it's a decision you make. So make that choice and just reconnect with making a decision to be happy. Then you go and seek joy. Get into a space of choosing peace, and then go into the action of gratitude. Go on a gratitude binge, and then you start bringing all of that together. So make those decisions.
Yeah, that idea of choice is so important, such an important step in order to allow us to bring that in. So thank you for clarifying that, Mynoo. So we'll all get to work on that. We have a week until next week, but it'll be a lifetime journey, I suppose.